You're listening to your brain on air. The program will begin shortly. Enjoy.
Stai ascoltando il cervello in aria. Il programma inizierà a breve.
Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome back to Your Brain on Air. I am your host, YBOA Larson. And folks, when I joined the Red Shoe Club, should I have the baby skin made to look just like the Pope's? His are like more of a traditional loafer and Oxford cut. I want like Chelsea boots, you know what I mean? I want like Beatles boots. You know how they got the idea for it back in Hamburg when they were playing in that one place? But folks, the Red Shoe Club, it refers to a club that many Catholic priests, politicians, leaders, celebrities, the elitists, they are a part of these, unfortunately. They're donning these very specific color of shoe, and many now are realizing from help from our good friend Epstein and co. that these shoes are attained via, I'm just going to be honest, and it's going to be an unfortunate thing to hear, they're via a ritual large killing. This is like Hillary Clinton and Huma Abedin in the basement of a Comet Pizza levels of ritual killing. They show the child the blades, they make cuts, they terrify the kid to adrenochrome up the blood, and then after they've essentially filleted the child, they take the skin and they create these shoes for their buddies to wear out in public, but they look like any other leather. So they dry the skin out, they leather it up. It's like Gucci level shoe designers. Seriously, I want a pair ASAP. I don't want to have to kill a child, but like, damn, I mean, fashion. These shoes are on point. These, by the way, these members also attain these rings with diamonds in them. These diamonds are forged via the created remains of the child's used for sacrifice. It's a blood diamond. They wear it on their hands to remind them that they've abandoned God and to only serve themselves and Lucifer now. So this isn't just like secular Freemasons either doing this. It's Jesuits, it's the Kabbalist Jews, it's everyone. There's the ones flying. They're the ones that are flying children around by the plane loads. They're the ones that are having shipping containers full of children of unknown origin, likely sold into modern day the slave trade that they have going. Guys, I hate telling you this. I hate telling you that ports across America, there's crates where you can slam your hand on the top and you'll hear rustling inside, or like oh, like, you know, like a muffled type of a thing. These are kids, by the way. They are bred without birth certificates, specifically to keep them off the grid for killings, rituals. They're bred for these purposes. It's not just child slavery, sex abuse, working on a palatial state for some like billionaire that bought you. It's like child torturing rings. This is national. It's religious. Even the little things no one thinks about, like the Boy Scouts of America. All the child protection services, by the way, they're deep in on it too. Unfortunately, I don't like telling you that fact. I don't like that it's a fact. You know, by the way, they have hunting parties. You and all your buddies that you can buy like 5 or 6 kids. Age doesn't really matter. The younger, the better, by the way. That's kind of their motto. And then you and your buddies, you open the cage and you go, try to get away. And then the kids, they're on an island or they're in the middle of a national park. They don't know where they are. And then the game wardens, you know, the people that like show up and make sure you're fishing right, they have game wardens too, except these game wardens, they fly drones around the place. They watch the tracking chips implanted in the kids' bodies to make sure they never leave the pre-established arena. And then you and your buddies can just sit there for like 60 seconds, give the kids a good head start, and then you can grab your bow and arrow, your crossbow, your swords, and then you and your boys are just like, let's get them! And then you have a good old hunting game with these 11-year-olds as the venison. Pretty disturbing stuff, guys. Okay. I know this is a lot to hear. It's a lot to deal with. But did you know that the first step to becoming a Satanist priest, according to former Satanists like Bill Schnoebelen, sorry, it's one of those Eastern European names. It's hard to pronounce. You first must become a Catholic priest. Yes, Catholicism is a necessary first step to satanic priesthood, alongside converting 7 people to pledge their souls to Satan. And the Jesuits, they manage the Catholic Church for the Illuminati. The Jesuits, the Catholics is an interchangeable word. This little thing that you're comfy donating with, it's one of the biggest cogs in the New World Order. Think about that. The next time that you attend Mass or get the collection plate passed to you, every penny that you have put in there has been used to traffic children like yours. Kids just like yours. You forced them into their confirmation. You forced their obedience. You're sick. You didn't even bother to investigate the church you insisted your children belong to. The hell is wrong with you? And we like to pretend that Scientologists are the crazy ones. The Scientologists are the nuts ones. Christ on his throne, ladies and gentlemen. These people belong to orders that they don't even know the history of. We can never get to a world of common sense if Catholicism continues to exist, period. We have more whistleblowers, former members of the Illuminati, that confirm to us the existence of catacombs, underground tunnels beneath Catholic structures. Jesse Szezobotar, because Czebotar, TAR. It's once again tough names, like I said, we're dealing with here. That's right, folks. And when you hear underground tunnels, catacombs, it's not just the Jews that have subterranean sexual abuse chambers. Catholic churches actually more often than not have incinerators to destroy the child remains. That's where they get the blood diamonds that I mentioned, by the way. Any organization with men in robes is probably hiding their creepy pedophile bodies underneath all that garb. This is not just like a Catholic thing that they are hiding. They're deeply intertwined. The Catholic Church, they're deeply intertwined with the government's secret trauma-based mind control operations. Catholicism was specifically targeted by Nazi researchers like Heinrich Himmler to identify chosen ones for mind control experiments in order to form the next generation of leaders for the New World Order. This is where you get Donald Trump. This is where you get Erica Kirk, Bill Clinton, Gavin Newsom, John Kerry, that bastard. They recruit these people very young, very virile, very alive. They subsume them for their purposes. By the way, if you're not Jewish, Catholic, or Protestant, they'll recruit you in via their elite schooling programs, metaphysics, schools of thought. They're not just looking for mathematicians, all right? They want order takers who want a comfortable life and who are willing to do anything to get it. That is the template. Controllable, volatile. Maybe you're volatile enough to keep the right-left divide going, and you're safe. The CIA, the NSA, the FBI, they're all in on these programs for the Vatican. They can screen your test scores, read all your essays. They assemble a document of who you are, and if you fit the bill, congrats, you're going to be the next senator from Kentucky. Catholics are deep in on this mind control sex abuse, by the way. That's why you hear so many horror stories about sex abuse, unfortunately, from former Catholics. It starts with the sex abuse because they try to dehumanize you, make you feel less than human, turn you into a slave, essentially, via the mind control systems. The mind control systems, it's not like they're putting a chip in your brain. I mean, they're getting to the point where they can do that. But like, we're talking about like old school MK Ultra. We're going to give people LSD if we need to break their minds. But in general, you just sexually abuse somebody. You keep them feeling small. You destroy their sense of self. Eventually, you don't even need drugs. You don't need the technology signals. People will just become the slaves that you need them to be. They have, listen, they have the public face of Christ, but behind the scenes, these are the men who made grimoires, spell books. They have altars to their true deities. They are into Druidic, Babylonian, and Egyptian magic with a K. Like deep, deep, deep in the magic circles. The Catholics do it all. What other kind of evangelicals pray to a golden statue of Trump? It's almost like Moses taught them nothing. And maybe that's because he didn't teach them anything. Folks, you may ask, like, well, if they're really doing all this stuff, why would they hide it in plain sight? Do you get it? Are you starting to get it? The cabal cannot succeed unless it is invited in. It's the vampire rule and accepted into the hearts, not just the minds of man. It becomes a scientific procedure for them that you must infect the host, but the host must invite you in. This is a tale as old as history itself, even older. Demons need weaknesses to infest your body, your soul. And, people will talk about how if you're addicted to things, if your mind is spiritually weak, you can be open to dark forces. This is just like a thing. Why? What defeated the Trojans? The Trojans, when they took the horse into the gates of their city. The evil pillaging forces, they must be masked under a cloak. A gift horse. And who are you to look a gift horse in the mouth, right? Who are you to deny Hollywood, Wall Street, NASA, elite schools, the World Health Organization, the World Economic Forum? It's bad manners to deny what the world is serving you. So just accept it. Are we clear? I think we're clear, ladies and gentlemen. And with that note, I'd like to announce my full conversion and my greatest apologies to the Catholic Church. The Pope is from Chicago now, so I'm just going to be honest. He could have some gangbangers turn up and kill me out of nowhere. I better shut the fuck up right now unless I want to catch a stray walking down Broadway. All right, ladies and gentlemen, let's cover our first story today. And I predicted it. Like I told you yesterday, I am a Cassandra type figure. I've been blessed with foresight, but I've been cursed by Apollo so that no one will believe me. I predicted yesterday that Scott Pelley would be fired from CBS after his showdown with leadership, and it just so happened to occur. So listen, even for me, this is like, I didn't expect them to take this. I was like, okay, this is a weird vision that I'm having. Why is my mind telling me this is the most logical conclusion? It would be better off, honestly, just to continue to have him in like this shameful position where like, oh yeah, we're still making you host 60 Minutes, but we're making you do it so that people see that you've abandoned your heart's core message of integrity and journalism. We want people to see that you have effectively abandoned that. And network executives have officially essentially terminated the contract of the legendary 60 Minutes correspondent Scott Pelley. The shocking dismissal comes just days after Pelley's explosive confrontation with CBS News editor-in-chief Barry Weiss. It became public in a high-stakes showdown where the veteran news anchor openly accused leadership of murdering the network's most iconic news magazine. Network insiders confirmed that top brass viewed Pelley's leaked, passionate defense of the broadcast tradition as an open act of mutiny, making his sudden departure one of the most high-profile corporate casualties in modern broadcast history. Listen, it's sending shockwaves through the television industry in general. It's completely freezing operations at the network's New York headquarters. Colleagues report that Pelley's dressing room and office were quietly cleared out overnight, drawing a stark and abrupt end to the storied multi-decade career at CBS. Listen, he's been there for the longest time. I remember when I was a kid, this gentleman being on like a little TV when you're eating breakfast and whatnot, and he's gonna tell you what happened that like your mom's gonna get nervous about. That's what 60 Minutes represented, and now it's over. It's gone, unfortunately. And listen, this is a victory for Barry Weiss and her corporate allies. They're aggressively pushing to dismantle the traditional network hierarchies in favor of fast-paced, digital-focused news like, we're going to be BuzzFeed, but, like, we're going to get things right, kind of. We're going to get it right from my perspective, which is, like, her perspective is one aligned with Israel's needs, as you have already known. It's one aligned with whatever administration happens to be in office at the time. Yeah, she was a little, she was so-and-so on the Hunter Biden story, but oh god, you want an air a story? You want to air a story about the Trump administration ICE facilities allegedly abusing the people that are in their custody? Well, I guess the story's not ready. The story's not ready, according to her. The decision to fire the show's most recognizable face in general is sparking the profound backlash that you would expect it to. Longtime viewers who associated him with the gold standard of investigative journalism, I like me, we're all seeing this as a sign that 60 Minutes is entering a very volatile chapter. 57 years it's been around. And I'm going to be so honest with you, I don't know if 60 Minutes makes it to 60 years after this. It's going to be ridiculous.
Those stories tonight on 60 Minutes.
60 Minutes.
Pelley fired from CBS News just one day after a heated clash with 60 Minutes leadership.
They're like, you're lucky we didn't kill you. We could have killed you. We could have kept you on the staff. We could have made it look as though we were trying to pave this over, and then we could have drone your car off a bridge.
Faces a very public crisis. 2 days ago, Pelley had clashed with the show's controversial new leader, technology journalist and documentary maker Nick Bilton. And
yeah, this is like hiring me, by the way, to run a news agency. This is hiring me like somebody who is like at best an independent researcher. I am not this sort of like, oh, I am somebody who should be in charge of a news organization. I encourage people to do their own research. When you're doing the news, you gotta be on point. You gotta make sure that you're telling people 1000% like this is verifiable. 60 Minutes has been caught lying repeatedly. It's ridiculous. It doesn't even matter. It doesn't matter. All right, let's continue.
Meeting Pelley attacked Bilton's qualifications and blasted the news network's leadership, according to a source in the room and an audio recording obtained by NBC News. Now Bilton writing to Pelley in a scathing termination letter obtained.
Let me read you this actual section because it's lengthy. Dear Mr. Pelley, I meant what I said in my letter last week to the 60 Minutes team. Joining 60 Minutes is the honor of my career, and I'm grateful to be working alongside the people who've contributed to the most important television journalism brand this country has ever produced. While I'm new to 60 Minutes, I've devoted my career to investigative journalism and storytelling. This is no, we're not telling stories. If you want to tell stories, you're not in the right business for this. He said, I started this job excited to collaborate and benefit from the wisdom and experience of the 60 Minutes veterans, with you among them. For that reason, one of the first things I did in my new role was to call you to talk and invite you to dinner. It is a profound disappointment that you rejected that overture and chose to ambush instead. Yesterday, you hijacked my first meeting. Oh, now he's going to get into the whiny bits with staff to disparage me. Christ. Oh my God. With this HR stupid bullshit language. He's such a cuck. He's a beta male. He can't bother to just tell you you, the way you were behaving was inappropriate. The way, like, you should have come to me man to man. Whatever. My qualifications and my intentions with remarkable incivility and contempt. I welcome a diversity of viewpoints and respectful debate among the team, but this was nothing of the sort. Oh my God, you fucking pansy. Yesterday's conversation demonstrated that you have no interest in contributing to the future success of the show or approaching my new tenure with the mind open to collaboration and progress. I am here to deliver first-class news programming, not to make headlines about newsroom drama. I am eager to work alongside those who share this goal. Despite yesterday's misconduct, I had hoped that in sitting down with you today, we could find a path forward together. You made it clear that you are not interested in such a path. Your antipathy, oh my goodness, I love you. I love you for including the vocab word of the day. Your antipathy to the future of the show has come through loud and clear, and I have heard you. I therefore write on behalf of CBS News, Inc., CBS, to inform you that your employment with CBS is terminated for cause effective immediately. Enclosed is your formal termination letter. What a fucking loser.
By NBC News. Quote, you hijacked my first meeting with staff to disparage me, saying it, quote, demonstrated that you have no interest in contributing to the future success of the show.
What a fucking loser. This is like loserish behavior to be blaming the idea that you listen. He pointed out something valid, that you have minimal experience. If I was appointed to run 60 Minutes, which you and me are essentially the same, you fucking loser piece of shit, Bilton. You and me are the same, like, oh, we're independent journalists or whatever. That doesn't really mean anything when it comes to working at institutions. Regrettably, your credentials are slim. He pointed that out to you and you couldn't even handle it for a second. That's pussy shit.
Bilton saying he made repeated attempts to speak with Pelley to no avail.
It felt like Scott Pelley was tempting fate here. He knew that he was becoming a sort of leader of a resistance.
Pelley, who spent nearly 4 decades at the network, responded with a blistering statement of his own overnight. Writing, new management has instructed me to inject falsehoods and bias into a politically sensitive story. To date, in every case, I have managed to ignore these instructions or refuse them. Adding, incompetence and unprofessionalism in the new management have wreaked havoc. Pelley has been critical of CBS News chief Barry Weiss, who recently fired the show's executive producer, along with 2 60 Minutes correspondents, Sharon Alfonsi and Cecilia Vega. In that fiery meeting on Monday, Pelley accused Weiss of, quote, murdering 60 Minutes. Turmoil has been brewing since David Ellison took over CBS News' parent company, Paramount, last year. Ellison looking to expand his empire with a major merger, currently awaiting regulatory approval from the Trump administration. Pelley now saying the new owner is making changes, quote, apparently to curry a moment of favor with the Trump administration. While this morning, the president weighed in on Pelley.
Scott Pelley's a stiff, and he's afraid, and he's part of this, gang of crooked, stupid people that don't care about our country.
While at CBS, questions swirl about the future of the beloved show. And we reached out to CBS on Pelley's allegations that management told him to insert bias into his work. We have not heard back. His fellow correspondent, Cecilia Vega, made similar statements after her firing from 60 Minutes last week. To that, the network said in a statement at the time that her claims are, quote, not based in reality.
Not based in reality. Listen. We can call it good. 60 Minutes, this is my eulogy to you. I've played some of your clips on the show. You've been a genuinely entertaining force in American history, and for that, we are very grateful. I hesitate to say that you have been, like, foundational to broadcast history or anything like that, but, people will remember the days where they heard your famous intro sound coming from their parents' TV. Tick, 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 tick. And I'm fine, honestly. I'm fine calling it good on 60 Minutes, regrettably. Your brain on air is just going to have to step up to take their spot, I guess. I guess we're going to have to be the new spot for investigative independent journalism, ladies and gentlemen. And we are not owned by any Jesuits, any Jews, any none of that. I grew up Protestant and I abandoned my faith after I realized that Jesus was a device to mind control people. I'm back, ladies and gentlemen. I'm back and I'm better than ever. We're back in the New York groove. And you know what is back? Construction at the White House. That's right. I think that listen, people are saying the ballroom, it pinches the driveway, it makes it look fucking weird. Shh. If you dislike it so much, tear it down when you win the White House. Just tear it down. Then you can reset. You can use taxpayer money to take down all the bullshit and whatnot. That's perfectly fine. I have no issue if you want to get rid of the ballroom when you win office again. However, someone needs to address the fact that they're building a portal on the south lawn of the White House. Listen, I know that people are going to go, no, it's a UFC fighting cage. This looks like a goddamn portal if I've ever seen one in my life. This is like a Stargate type of a thing that they would build in Stranger Things that would like tear a hole through the universe and like unleash demogorgons into our world. That's what this sort of thing they're building is. Listen, this is at 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue, otherwise known as famously as the White House, and there is a massive cage fighting arena. If you haven't heard about this, this was a project between the Oval Office and UFC. UFC is footing the bill, which is great. I love to see Dana White. I love to see Dana White out there doing something besides hitting his wife at clubs, and I think that's just great for them. The construction in general has triggered a fierce debate. According to the president's latest viral videos, the argument isn't over about whether the arena should be built, but rather whether it should be taken down. Trump has leaned heavily into a controversy on social media, actively comparing the steel cage to Paris's iconic Eiffel Tower. In his characteristic style, the president noted that when the French first built the Eiffel Tower, it was for the 1889 World's Fair. The public absolutely hated it. They demanded it be torn down as an eyesore, only for it to eventually become one of the most beloved permanent landmarks in human history. Even I still think that the Eiffel Tower is a little ugly. I go, what can you really do with it except for have Celine Dion sing on it? I loved when she sang Hymne de l'amour. It's a song by Edith Piaf and whatnot. Le ciel bleu, it's a great song. I don't remember all the lyrics perfectly because it's in French, but it is a beautiful tune. Et la terre. It's a great song. If you haven't had the time to listen to it, the Hymne de l'amour, it's like the hymn of love. My French isn't great, but why can't we do that? If we're gonna be doing like celebrations of Americana, can we get Kid Rock on the top of it or something singing? I think that would be great. That would be the thing that actually convinces people to keep this thing around. Let's see his previews that he had about this Freedom 250 event. By the way, I thought he was the one that promised like we're gonna have a new World's Fair. We're going to have like stands we're going to have different things representing each state. It's going to be the pride of the nation. What happened to the year-long, from Memorial Day 2025, we're going to be doing countrywide celebrations, parades. What happened to all the energy around the idea of celebrating America 250? It's embarrassing.
June 14th, we're having a...
By the way, his birthday, June 14th, awesome little gift he's getting himself.
Big fight. It's never going to happen again. Never happened before, and it's all of the best fighters, best 4 fighters standing right behind me, and all champions. And it's going to happen right in front of the White House. Here's a picture. I think a lot of people haven't seen this yet. I'll give you that. I think you'll probably be able to do okay with it.
Wow.
Not bad, right? Championship belt. Dana White was here last night. Did you know that? He was here last night. He loves this guy.
What?
Here's another one.
Here's another one.
This is another. They're going all the way out, all online. It's all people invited. Our country.
So I don't get it. Okay, the Eiffel Tower, to compare it to that, the Eiffel Tower was like a tower. It was girders, beams, no one could really live in it. But with this structure, it is 4 little sticks that amount into these arch-type structures that are holding up a ton of lights. By the way, the fight is going to be miserable for the people. In Washington, D.C., it's projected to get like 100 degrees that day. It's ridiculous. It's maybe not such a great idea. There's going to be bugs flying all over the place. It's going to be gross. It's going to be muggy.
Is invited to this. It's free. And in the park right across the street, they're going to have, I guess, anywhere from 75 to 100,000 people. Free. They're going to set up 8 big screens.
Not a good idea. I understand that you guys are like, well, okay, free because we want anybody to show up. That means anybody can show up. You don't want just anybody to show up. I'm so sorry. I'm in favor of the idea of elitists keeping these parties pretty hush-hush, or like keeping the guest list pretty small. You don't want these people getting killed, in all honesty. That is what happens when you invite it as like everybody, no matter who you are, come on in and we're going to get you. You'll be within like 500 feet of the president, and we'll have like his ratings are a little low, so we're gonna need somebody to clip his ear again real quick.
Yeah, that's right. And then out here we're gonna have 4,000 seats right in front of the front door of the White House.
Why?
The hardest ticket I've ever had to.
The best live show on earth.
This will be the greatest show on earth. Is at night.
The fighters will be walking out of the Oval Office. This is retarded.
It's all lighting and cover, and I think you get the idea. So
Yeah, we get the idea.
It's going to be June 14th, and it's going to be great. And this is a little different for these political people, and but these are real warriors.
Warriors, ladies and gentlemen, warriors. These guys, these gentlemen. Who's showing up? By the way, who's showing up? Does anybody know anybody from this? I don't watch UFC. I'm not into these fights. I'm not into like the ground and pound techniques that people talk about. It's gay. I know that it's gay. I know that it amounts to an excuse for men to touch each other. They want to prove their physical strength and whatnot. They're like, this is a great environment. Iron sharpens iron, as like these fags say. They just love the idea of a man touching up on them, and they love the idea of getting intimate with them. It's chill. It's not. Who am I to judge them? Nobody. That's who. I don't have Dana White money. Speaking of Dana White money, that's exactly what's paying for all of this. Let's take a look at the president's message about this structure.
In Paris, France, the Eiffel Tower, 1889 it was built. It was supposed to be taken down immediately after the World's Fair. And then they said, we sort of like it. Let's leave it up a little bit longer. And then they said, let's leave it up longer and longer and longer. Well, they never took it down. And, we're building something in front of the White House that's quite attractive to a lot of people.
Is it?
Have the big UFC fight on June 14th, and I'm looking at it, and maybe we'll never ever take it down.
All right. Now, if we're going to be doing this, if we're really thinking about keeping this arch, you're already getting Arc de Trump eventually, where we're building an arc for you, not an arc like for him to escape on with his children and one of every animal on Earth. No, not that kind of an arch, like one that they have in many other countries. We're doing an Arc de Trump. If we're doing the arc right in front of the White House, I think we need to tower it up a little bit more, actually. If we want to Eiffel Tower it, we should do our best to create... I want, you're going to need a lot more support beams. You might even need to... Listen, you have 4 sticks right now formulating the arch. You might need to move it up to 8. I think that we are going to need, an octopus type of shape to this thing in order for it to support the thing that I have an idea. I have an idea, and I'm going to pitch this to the White House right now. Trump land. Hear me out. Trumpland will exist underneath this arch. It will be very similar to that of Disneyland. They will be able to traffic as many children in underground tunnels as they want, just like Walt Disney. I think that if I actually put this on his desk, if I propose it to him, he'll be like, I'm down. Let's do it, ladies and gentlemen. You know what else we should do, ladies and gentlemen? I'm tired. I'm not giving it any more time. A lot of people are giving their reactions to whether or not they like the arch that live in Washington, D.C. Most of the reactions are pretty mixed, that it's like, oh, it's kind of ugly.
It's interesting. Yeah, it's interesting.
Well, if it wasn't Trump, I might like it. All right.
What?
I think it's horrible.
Oh my God. That's so. By the way, tell me you have a no IQ without telling me that you have no IQ. Well, if it wasn't Trump, I might like it. But, the fact that it's Trump, I think it's horrible. Oh my God. You mean to tell me if Biden was building this sort of an arch, you would... You're brainless. You've admitted to me that you're a partisan hack loser piece of shit who can't think for themselves.
I think it would be awesome. I really do.
Yeah?
Why?
I wish we stay to see it.
Well, it almost looks like a roller coaster coming out of the White House lawn, but really, that is the beginning of a makeshift arena that will host the Ultimate Fighting Championship of...
That's a portal. They just don't want to tell you that it's a Stargate, that they're finally, Sam Altman is going to announce that the AI god will talk to all of us, and then it'll be like this booming voice. They're going to Project Bluebeam this shit, where every human being, they're going to look up in the sky and see a projection of God, and God will tell us all that we must obey. We have to obey, quite frankly. The future that Donald Trump and the good forces appointed by God, the elite, the people running AI, the people running these large language models, they're getting a message much like Monty Python and the Holy Grail. God is parting the clouds, and he is telling them that they are the future for this country, ladies and gentlemen. Okay, let's move on to the rapid fire section of today's headlines. A lot of things you need to know about in order to keep your media diet healthy. Speaking of which, massive flames have engulfed St. Petersburg oil terminal after Ukrainian drone strike. You know what? I'm glad that at least that you look at things for comfort. You know how they have like TV shows for comfort, the Dick Van Dyke Show, Andy Griffith. You know, you have these shows where you just keep going back to them because you love to see the characters over and over. This is how I feel about the Russia-Ukraine war. Putin is such like a universally despised figure that it almost makes you want to like him a little bit. Like it makes you read into his past and his history, and you're like, shit, man, this guy's kind of legit. Like he subsumed his way to power. He was this kind of like fly under the radar type of fella, and then he like James Bond. Imagine if James Bond was like the president of a country. That's kind of the origin story. Now, he didn't kill Auric Goldfinger. And by the way, Auric, that's funny. AU, that's the periodic table symbol for gold. It's very fun. But like, imagine this sort of like behind the scenes KGB agent was running a nation, and then we had this CIA like selected by the Knesset, by the big forces organizing the government, the world government. Honestly, you have this ex-comedian who has now been appointed the president of a country, Zelensky. It is like a classic television show. This is like, it's so out there that if I pitch this to TNT, they would say that it sounds unrealistic. And they'd be like, no, this would never actually happen in the real world. All right. I mean, that looks survivable. You know what I mean? It's just an oil terminal, and it's just on fire. It's like smokestacks. It's beautiful. Russian officials have confirmed the infrastructure sites in several districts of St. Petersburg were damaged overnight in overnight attacks, leaving several people injured. That's the thing about the Ukrainians, is that their tech, it's just not good enough to kill, unfortunately for them. If it was good enough to kill, then they'd actually be pushing back a little bit on the Russian forces. But, they're just kind of fighting them to this weird little stalemate. Whatever. We're looking at more military conflicts, like how there was a major escalation with the Iran war as after a deadly attack on the Kuwait airport following U.S. airstrikes. What?
The big stories. We're seeing escalating violence in the Middle East. Kuwait has suspended commercial flights after an Iranian drone attack hit the country's airport, injuring multiple people, killing at least one person. Video shows debris burning in a parking lot in Kuwait after the army said it was responding to missile and drone threats. Yesterday, Iran and the U.S. traded multiple attacks. The U.S. military says it launched strikes on an Iranian military facility in retaliation for Iranian missiles fired at Kuwait and Bahrain. Military say the strike at Bahrain failed. Tehran says it launched its attack in response to the U.S. striking this oil tanker. The U.S. claims the vessel was trying to breach its blockade. CBS News national security contributor Sam Vinograd joins us for more on this development. Good morning, Sam. Just good morning.
We don't need to hear much about it. This is what gaslighting looks like. It's very fun. This is the thing that they're going to use to push forces forward and outward. Greater Israel is coming into fruition, and eventually they're going to attack Turkey. They're going to topple over Lebanon and Kuwait. It's just one of those little bits and pieces when we're dealing with the Euphrates River, where it's like, oh, it would just be nice to have. It's just like a little nice thing. We'll add it to the shelf of collections. All right, let's go a little local. Speaking up in a WCCO investigation, Hannah Lepresto, love that last name, Lepresto. It's like a presto, you know, like when a magician shows you something. She took her story to the Minnesota State Capitol. Now a newly signed law making grooming a felony. This is great news. Okay, if you're unaware of the practice called grooming, this is not referred to when you have an animal like a dog or a cat and then you take them to the veterinarian, maybe you give them a bath, this is not like in reference to that. It's not in reference to personal grooming either. This grooming is a term that largely comes from the internet age, where it's old school. It's to catch a predator, but imagine the predator knows the child since the child was like younger, has formulated a trusting relationship, has done their best to like give the idea that maybe this person is just like a permanent fixture in their life, eventually leading that down the road to like, oh, when I pose myself to you, you will be less likely to deny me. It's in the context of like the criminal law, it's you building trust and emotional power imbalance with a target, typically child or at-risk adult and all that sort of stuff. It's not always happening to children, but grooming is more often than not talked about in relation to children. However, this law will affect, I believe, all ages equally. So if you're out there grooming adults and you're in the United States, more specifically Minnesota, maybe have a little sweat on your brow. I'm just going to let you know.
Felony offense in Minnesota.
Good.
Sharing my story, showing my face, telling people what happened to me in a public way. That was incredibly terrifying. That is what it takes sometimes to really show people how impactful or how big of a deal grooming really is.
You cannot accidentally groom a child. Grooming is the deliberate process of building a false sense of trust in a child to make future sexual abuse easier.
The law includes protections beyond making grooming a felony offense. It requires licensing boards to be notified if a teacher is charged with grooming, updates training on mandatory reporting, and it lifts the statute of limitations for the...
By the way, real quick, the teacher issue. The reason that Chris Hansen has never caught a female predator is because women, when they are predators, more often than not enjoy the intimate element with their victim. Men are pigs. We've already established this. They're willing to have sex with anything that breathes, moves, and is even like kind of ugly. You know what I mean? Men's standards when it comes to sex and whatnot, they're animals about it. Women predators, more specifically, are like, no, I want me and Billy to have like a knowing relationship of one another. It's more, listen, it's like this, it's a form of the same type of sexual abuse, but it's the motherly angle to it. You know what I mean? Where it's like, oh, I'm like fostering you forward into your sexual future. That's what they enjoy about it. They enjoy intimately understanding and knowing their victim. Men just want to like hit it and quit it. That's the thing about men most of the time. And if you're a man and whatnot, I'm sorry if this is offending you. I'm speaking generally because this is based off of like research that people have done into criminologists and whatnot, looking into people's heads and whatnot, literally looking into people's heads sometimes, cutting them open and shit like that, because we know the medical industry. But like we're being honest here right now. That like the reason that you don't see women doing these practices, like going online, like showing up to the house, and then it's like it's a Saturday night in Fairfield, Connecticut. This man is on his way to our sting house, but what he doesn't realize is that his date with a 14-year-old is actually with me. Women would not be taking pizza to some 15-year-old they've been chatting up online. Women want the 15-year-old to be interested in them because you are their like hot math teacher or whatever. It's like this sick, like it's storytelling. It's like, men don't read romance novels, women do. So women want to formulate they want to craft this story where it's like stealing our love moments away and all this sort of stuff. They need to be the main character, even in their own fantasies. Men, they're like, I am like a side character in this child's life. I'm not a big part of this child's picture. I'm going to abuse them. It's going to affect them the rest of their life, and I'm going to take off. That's what men like. That's what they're into. Anyways, I'll let them finish up.
Department of Education grooming investigations.
Okay, they're taking away the statute of limitations. Sorry, for grooming allegations in the Department of Education. That's good. When it comes to statute of limitations, You know what I mean? When it comes to sexual abuse cases, it's rougher because it's harder to find evidence. It's harder to pull from the evidence pool. It's harder to get testimony from people as to whether or not this teacher has a history of anything. It's suspect, but I'm happy about the idea that, like, in the schooling environment, it's going to be a lot easier for these sorts of people to be held accountable. However, I'm saying it right now. If it's happening to you, you got to come forward within like a year of it happening. I'm sorry. You can't be like sitting on it for 10 years and then telling your family about it over wine. Just like, oh my God, what did you just say on Regina? You just like divulged to us that you had like this horrific experience when you were 10. You should have gone to the fucking cops. But then it's like, oh no, it's just something that I sat on and like lived with. There's a lot of unfortunately former Catholics. It's unfortunate. A lot of them have experienced sexual abuse. They just don't admit it to themselves. It's unfortunate. It's something that they live with for the rest of their lives, and they know it's too late to ever have any accountability. Most of the people that did that to them are dead, but they don't realize that the system out there that did that to them is still out there doing that, and maybe they just like live with this denial in their head. They realize that they were under mind control. They realize that it was like all a lie. Everything they grew up understanding as a child. It's perfectly fine. It's whatever. It's not up to me to wake them up.
It's like future Hannah, protected Hannah from the past, or little Hannah. And I think that's just such a good feeling.
Good for you.
Every committee and on the floor votes in the House and the Senate, each one was unanimous.
Nice.
And it's incredible that people who disagree on so much all agreed on this one thing.
It's not a hard thing to agree on, honestly. All right. Good news from Minnesota, but also let's stay in Minnesota for Lieutenant Governor Peggy Flanagan. She's making a rare public appearance with Governor Tim Walz, and she says she wants to step out in my own way. She's on the campaign trail for U.S. Senate. She doesn't want to be defined by the administration that she helped foster into reality. She wants to be known as her own individual when she eventually seeks the levers of power that her boss was granted, that she just doesn't want to answer for the boss's behavior. Listen, who is she to answer for the crimes of Mr. Mao supporter Tim Walz himself?
What do you say your relationship is like with the governor? Obviously, in recent years, you rarely speak together in public. Have you been in lockstep with his administration?
So, the governor and I, people I think are used to the Walz-Flanagan administration and Tim and Peggy. We've got a good relationship. I was just with him last week, and it's been important for me to step out on my own. To show folks that this is the Peggy Flanagan for U.S. Senate campaign. It's what we've been doing over, the last year on the campaign trail has really been to demonstrate that, when my name is on the door, it's my name and my name alone, and delivering.
This is weak, by the way, because the Kamala tried to do the same exact thing. When you go like, oh, that's not us. We didn't. Well, I was the lieutenant of the general who ran the experiments on Chinese prisoners when we invaded. This is from the perspective of Japan. But then you're as the Japanese person going, I was just there. What did you expect me to do? To start freeing people out of chains? The boss said what he wanted. The boss said that he wanted to call George Floyd's fucking overdose a murder. What was I supposed to do? Be honest?
Fighting for them in Washington to make sure that they can afford the lives they want to live. That is my priority and my agenda, and that's what I've tried to demonstrate to folks.
Okay, what is your actual agenda besides I want to make things affordable? How are you going to make things affordable? What are you going to do? What is your comprehensive plan? No one has a comprehensive plan anymore. There's no such thing. All right, missing scientist, by the way, found dead. Interestingly enough, 53-year-old Melissa Cassius, Cassias. I listen, when you read Greek names, when you read Latin names, when you read Afrikaans names, when you jump all around the globe with the names that you have to pronounce, you struggle sometimes. And I admit that I need to get better at that. So I apologize for that. Melissa Cassius has been found dead after going missing nearly a year ago. She worked at the Los Alamos National Lab, where the world's first atomic weapons were apparently apparently developed. And when she disappeared last year, her family reportedly discovered that all her personal belongings had been left behind. Both of her phones had been factory reset, interestingly enough. Listen, if she's dead, really, like, we have our answer. You know what I mean? She's dead. I was about to say we killed her, but yeah, technically we did. The United States government killed her.
Months of no answers. A missing scientist has been found dead in New Mexico, once again under mysterious circumstances. Todd Pyro joins us with more. Todd.
Hey,
Todd.
After this discovery, we still might have more questions than answers. 53-year-old Melissa Cassius had been missing since June 26th of last year. She was working as an administrative assistant at Los Alamos National Lab, where the world's first atomic weapons were developed.
They've had Die Glock, German technology, literally gravity bending, all this sorts of things. They can create vacuums around the devices in order for them to travel through air and water at the same speed. They've had anti-gravity technology for years, ladies and gentlemen. It's over. It's over. If you don't believe that, then I don't know how to help you.
During World War II. Investigators announcing her remains were found by a hiker in a national forest about 10 miles from her northern New Mexico home.
What a hike, by the way. Like, you and your wife expect to get out, get some air. You found a body. That's sick.
A handgun was also found alongside her body. Cassius vanished nearly a year ago. Her family discovered that her personal belongings, including her purse, IDs, and cell phones, had been left behind. And
by the way, my family is going to hear about me like this one day. They're going to be like, "Oh shit, where did Ollie go?" One day, we haven't heard from him in a few days or whatever. And it's like, I'm going to be in a van somewhere. I'm going to be like, they will find, my family will be like, they'll be out in the news. They'll be trying to get somebody to care, but then they'll find my remains in some like state park. They'll say that I offed myself or whatever. I've never once been suicidal. I find suicide to be one of the most disgusting things a human being is capable of. I think of it as someone prepared you the finest meal available, like literally just a table available of just like the finest dishes you could ever hope for, and then you came in and you were like, well, I don't want to eat right now, I don't want to live, and then you grab the table and you throw it up and you clash it on the ground, you break plates and whatnot. The ungrateful are the ones who long to leave this world. I'm having the greatest time of my life. Listen, I don't think anyone is having nearly as much fun as me. Even the pedophiles, the elitists, the people who are killing children in order to advance their personal plots with the supernatural magic with a K forces, that I'm having more fun than they are because they realize that their soul is unsavable. My soul, I don't know where it's going at the end of this. So I'm just enjoying the ride. I'm loving what we're doing. I was put on this earth and I'm like, all right, history, facts, notes, names, dates, what is there? This is how can you be interested in like lore for like a TV show when the greatest lore of all time, the world, is sitting in front of you every single goddamn day? I don't understand it. I never understood how you can get these people that sit around and obsess about like the details of Breaking Bad or it's a great show over the course of 5 seasons. It's a little slow in the first season or whatever. It's like, I understand people want to talk about great storytelling. They want to see a story about like a drug dealer who's like a boring teacher like they are, but then manages to make a shit ton of money. It's like a self-insert fantasy. Same with The Sopranos. Same with a lot of these crime thrillers. It's so that ordinary losers can feel great about their lives for a second. But whatever. It's like, I just want people to know that, like, you can go on Toonami, you can go on Cartoon Network, you can go on fucking AMC, you can go on HBO. Sure, there's tons of stories that are available for you to watch and, get invested in their little worlds. Or you can learn about the world around you. Isn't that so much more interesting? Like, learning about things that are real and tangible. You can see them and touch them and they're real. They're actually real. They're real. It's insane to me. The utter lack of interest that most people have in history. Most people just like write it off. Most people are like, anything past the 60s, my knowledge kind of drops off. Most people are like, yeah, I know about World War II. I know about Napoleon. I don't know when any of that shit happened. And I know that like a couple thousand years ago, a bunch of the religious stuff happened. And I know that between the years of like, I don't know, 400 and like 1600. It was mostly just like kings. That was like the Dark Ages, right? They think that was the Dark Ages. They don't realize the Dark Ages is like an identifiable time in history that you can actually point to and say, this is when it kind of starts, this is when it kind of ends. It's like a periodization. Like most of these people that think periodization, it's just heavily expanded. It covers, they're like, what is the Victorian age even? These people don't realize it's named after a queen. It's silly. It's a silly time. It's a silly time to be alive when people are more interested in like cartoons or like fake TV show. Like that's a fake. It's like you're watching Euphoria, but you could be invested in something that's actually happening around you or around the world. What is going on? What's going on with people's minds that they're so pacified by like little stories, little things, little non-realities, no truth. There's spiritual truth, by the way. It's the same people that like they get really into the Bible, but they won't call it a Bible. They'll call it like, I don't know, a TV show. They'll be like, this actually has a lot of deep underlying meanings. The character learns a lot of lessons throughout. The character actually grows and learns, and you learn about the nature of humanity when you really watch this television show. You know where you learn about the nature of humanity? Studying human history. Whatever. I'm done. I'm done advocating for people to be researchers, get invested in time spans and whatnot. I'm done. It doesn't matter to me, but what does matter to me is that Graham Plattner and his wife are being slandered for this shit. Listen, they are being slandered. They are pushing him out of this race. They don't want him to win. I want this communist, socialist weirdo to win, and I'm going to tell you why. Because he is pushing out Susan Collins, and Susan Collins has had a real affair, but nobody really wants to talk about that. For some reason, a guy texts a little bit outside of his marriage. The wife is totally chill with it. They've worked through it. But for some odd reason, Susan Collins being a straight up whore, no one gives a shit. No one cares. No one bothers to mention it.
Democratic nominee Graham Plattner is under fire tonight after he sent sexually explicit text messages to at least half a dozen women after he got married in 2023.
He's a baller. That's cool.
Marine Corps veteran called it gossip, but his own campaign confirmed the texts are real. His wife Amy had alerted campaign staff about the messages, worried they could be a liability in the race.
Wife.
Marriage is perfect, and I don't want a perfect marriage. I want my marriage.
Listen, she is perfectly fine in the abusive situation that she's in, where her husband texts other women behind her back, and then it's only revealed in later instances. It's fine. It's fine. No marriage is perfect. Who are we to be judging this gentleman who just wants to be the senator of Maine?
Not new to controversy after saying he didn't know a chest tattoo he got while drunk in 2007 was a recognized Nazi symbol and had it covered up.
Because sometimes you have a crazy night. I don't get how you pick a Nazi skull, but sometimes you get a tattoo and you just don't know the full meaning. I bet that most of the millennial weirdos, I had a substitute teacher that had this one time. She had a finger tattoo where she's such a millennial for this. She has a finger tattoo of a mustache. So when she put her finger up to the bridge of her, like in between her nose and her mouth, it was a little mustache and whatnot. It's so millennial core. She served in the military. Very interesting person. But like in general, that was just like unnerving to me. I think people do get tattoos and not think about them very much. But if I'm getting a tattoo in a strange Eastern European country, I want to make sure that I know I'm like up to date on all their symbolisms that they might be carving into my body. I'm just not a tattoo guy. I'm not a person who like ever plans to ink up my body. I never plan to put anything on it. But like maybe it's just me. Maybe it's just me who like thinks that I would want to know the true symbolism of what I am putting permanently on my body. Maybe it's just me. I don't know.
Represents who I am now.
In now deleted Reddit posts, he called himself a communist and said, "Why don't black people tip?"
Because this man is on point. He is dropping truth bombs, and as a Christ-like man, as a Cassandran type figure where I give prophecy and no one believes me, I understand this man. Listen, he is thinking the high IQ questions that no one is brave enough to ask. Why can't we make room for the Socratean type figures who are going to ask the tough questions that are going to upset people, that are going to, rub people the wrong way? We need to ask tough questions. That's where we live. We live in a society that needs to ask tough questions.
Democrats have been hoping hoping Plattner could flip the Senate seat long held by Republican Susan Collins, a seat
The whore.
they need to win to take the Senate majority. But reaction...
The whore who's had an affair, had an extramarital affair that nobody wants. Listen, Graham Plattner, all he did was send text messages. Am I happy about it? Is it any behavior that I'd ever encourage for a man to do in order to publicly shame his wife? Absolutely not. But when we are doing a pure just like, which one is worse? Texting bitches or like cheating on your husband? Technically, I think I'm going to go with cheating on your actual husband. Letting a man throw his hog in you is it's a step past sending a bad text. Does it mean that sending a bad text is also bad? Yeah. Sending a bad text is also bad. I'm not going to say that it isn't. But like, let's be honest. There's a difference between saying something and doing something.
...to the newest controversy is mixed.
If I say I'm going to kill you, but then and I actually kill you, which offense is worse in my personal account? Like, I ask you that as the listening audience. Which one is worse? Is it that I threaten to kill you or that I actually kill you? Is it which one?
Running an extraordinarily strong campaign.
I have concerns. That guy has questions to answer, and that's what campaigns are for.
Shut up, Cory Booker.
Is just 8 days away, and Plattner is still poised to win. His top opponent, Democratic Governor Janet Mills, dropped out of the race. But as she reminded a local newspaper today, her name will still be on the ballot next week. Tony.
Caitlin, thank you very much.
Well, speaking of names still being on the ballot, we're going to jump to our final story of the day, ladies and gentlemen. And thank you so much for listening as far as you have. It's been a beautiful Wednesday. I hope that wherever you are, however you are, the world is treating you well. And I hope that you're enjoying time with friends and family. You're just enjoying your life because it's the only one that you get. You know what I mean? Try to cherish every second that God has served you, the universe has served you, whatever. I am one to believe in the idea of submission. I'm not submission to the Illuminati, not submission to the Freemasons, not submission to the Jesuits, although I still go to a 9-to-5 regrettably because, you know what I mean, you still have to pay the bills. I'm not saying that, like, you have to abandon your employment in order to, do whatever. I'm saying that, like, yeah, exist in the world, do what you have to pay the bills, but try your best to serve you, your family, and your immediate community as best you can. Try to create the beautiful moments, try to create a beautiful moment for a child, you know what I mean? Try to create a beautiful moment for an elderly person. Try to foster a community that is one of people who lift each other up rather than ones of people who continuously tear each other down. I'm just, there's my positive spin, ladies and gentlemen. I normally never try to do a positive spin, but I think this world really needs it. I think that we all just need to focus on joy. We need to focus on, I'm doing a Kamala Harris right now, and I admit that I am. We need to focus on our ability to seek light within ourselves, because we're not seeing it from our government. We're not seeing it from, and by the way, don't get it twisted. Just because Trump won, it doesn't mean that, things would have been 10 times better if only Kamala won. She would have served out the Jesuits, the Freemasons, every one of their orders just as loyally as Donald Trump would have. By the way, a 100% chance we would be in a conflict with Iran right now. 1,000% chance. No matter where we were, no matter who we elected, we were going to get into this conflict with Iran. It was inevitable. It was something that was going to be ordered by Bibi Netanyahu, and given the Biden administration's friendliness to Israel during their time, there's no doubt for a second, even in my mind, Kamala Harris would have approved this conflict in the Middle East. There's not a doubt. And I know that people are going to go, you can't pin that charge on her. You can't say that. Then I won't. I'm just going to say I'm just going to say the truth. I'm just going to say the truth, and you can have whatever reaction you'd like to it. California elections, listen, way too early to call, but in general, it looks like we're going to a runoff. It doesn't look like anybody's getting to 50% of the vote. And this is, by the way, this is changing the landscape for most Democrats and Republicans. They're thinking about the midterms differently. The Republicans are realizing they might be a little safer than they previously expected. The Democrats realize they don't actually have a party line right now. They do not have like a unifying force for them to look to. They don't have a core central figure. And I don't even blame that core central figure. Obama like came out of the woodwork like 2 years before he really ran. He was not this like, I'm on it, I'm always on fucking, you know, I'm on Colbert or whatever. He was like, you got to keep these people in the, you know, keep them in the little cells where they're going to be trained in order to like serve out their purpose, and then introduce them to the public about 2 years before the elections are actually going to come around. That, and I realize that we're actually in that peak time period right now where the person is going to have to start running. It doesn't even matter to me. It's interesting enough. Let's look at this report from GMA.
Watch Los Angeles mayoral race is heading to a runoff.
We have led a grassroots campaign because we want to bring change to our city, and that's what we've been doing.
Incumbent.
Wait, if you have been... Wait a minute. Karen Bass is the currently serving mayor of Los Angeles. We're bringing change. We have been bringing change the last 4 years, but yet you want to bring more change. What is the change equation that you're actually working with here?
Democrat Mayor Karen Bass has clinched her spot in what will now be...
Does she want to go to Ghana again while the city burns?
A two-person election in November. Progressive Councilmember Nithu Raman is pushing for the second.
Raman also is getting a lot of support from the East Asians, unfortunately. A lot of them, by the way, there's interviews, you can go find them online, where they're like, I'm just voting for her because I'm Southeast Asian, she's Southeast Asian. They sound quite a bit to me like the white people in Kentucky who say, I'm just voting for the guy because he's white.
Spot, but she trails former reality star Spencer Pratt, a registered Republican, running as an independent.
Pratt. I love his AI videos. I love where he makes Kamala Harris a big drunk who's like, I don't care about the people of California. I approve the homeless shelter. I think that shit's funny as fuck.
You know, because I literally could not be more excited.
Pratt's campaign has drawn national attention and controversy for reposting AI-generated ads like this one, showing him as Batman and the mayor as the Joker. He's been deeply critical of Bass's response to last year's fires where he lost his home.
My heart's telling me, hey, this guy's going to do right by us, so he's got my vote.
And in the race to succeed Gavin Newsom in the hotly contested governor's race, the most expensive in history with $327 million spent so far, former Fox News commentator and Trump-endorsed Republican Steve Hilton has the lead right now.
Change is coming to California, and it's long overdue.
That race is also too close to call, with Democrat and former Health and Human Services Secretary Javier Becerra and Democratic billionaire Tom Steyer not far behind.
I think voters here in Los Angeles are really tired of hearing ideas and not seeing the execution.
And 6 different states held their primaries yesterday. One of the major headlines was out of New Jersey, where Republican Congressman Tom Kaine was running unopposed. He was endorsed by President Trump, but he hasn't been seen in months. He's missed more than 100 congressional votes. He issued a statement a few hours before the polls closed saying he's been focused on his recovery, but he hasn't said what medical condition he is recovering from. He claims he will be more transparent when he returns to work in person in a few weeks, George.
Yeah, a lot of questions there. And President Trump took a hit in Iowa.
Yeah, definitely a big surprise.
Oh, George Stephanopoulos, what happened to you? Oh my God. What is this new, like, tanned out look you're trying to debut in order to cover up the wrinkles? It's not working, my guy. It's really not working. I mean, get back on the adrenochrome. I'm serious. Like, if it's getting this bad, I think that you need to start re-upping on the baby juice in order to keep you young. All right, I'm going to play one of his videos. I'm not going to play the one that is most often referenced. I'll try to find it, and I'll leave it in the description for you if I can. But this one is Karen Bass. It's an AI-generated video from Spencer Pratt's channel on X. And it's Karen Bass giving us good reasons as to why she should be reelected. I love this shit. If this is the future of AI, just slandering people with AI, like, if this is the future of advertisements in politics, just slandering people with AI versions of themselves, I like it. Let's do it.
And I'm running on my accomplishments.
Burning Hollywood sign.
Los Angeles on fire. Mayor nowhere to be found.
She's clinking champagne with Kamala Harris at a party.
Prepared for wildfires. I didn't even have to be in the country when the town burned. I addressed the homeless problem. Now, most of them won't stab you as long as you don't make eye contact. Our climate change policy is so strong, we've brought down energy use in the Palisades by 99%.
There's a kid.
Almost none of the need.
There's a kid like crying, holding her backpack with a bunch of needles on the ground, and a homeless guy at a fucking taking over, like a bunch of homeless people sleeping on a playground and whatnot. People shitting on the playground.
Schools and children's playgrounds have AIDS on them. If you like the last 4 years, you're going to love the next 4. Vote Bass.
I love it, ladies and gentlemen. Vote Karen Bass if you've loved it over the last few years. I'm gonna say it. He's got me convinced. He's got me sold. Spencer Pratt is the next mayor of Los Angeles, ladies and gentlemen. A city near and dear to my heart. I've played GTA there many times. Like, I've been there in GTA many times. I've not been in the city of Los Angeles playing GTA. That's why would you even do that? Why would you, if you live in the city of Los Angeles, even do that? Just go out and kill somebody, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you so very much for listening to today's episode. I had a wonderful time gathering these stories for you. I hope you had an even more wonderful time listening to them. I will be back at it again tomorrow. We got Thursday, Friday for this week, and then we will be back at it again next week. If you want to be there for any of those episodes, subscribe, like if you liked it, ring the bell for notifications. In the meantime, thank you so very much for listening. I will catch you in the next broadcast. This has been Ollie Vogt Larson with Your Brain on Air. Thank you so very much for listening, and bye-bye.